Yeah, when Bill Harp and I started this group, the Facebook one, Bill started in 2011, and we actually started in 2005 when we did a sports talk show down in Honduras. Viva Sorocano. Okay. We started this group, but hold on, man. You're not on yet, brother. When we started this group, we started picking up some really good people all over. They were mostly military. We picked up some guys that had some serious talent. We like to consider that Sports Talk 2.0 is pretty much for the average. Now I'm gonna say average because it makes it sound like we're just average, but guys who don't get on there and scream and yell all the time. And this guy flat out knows his shit when it comes to college football. He's a admin elder in the group. There you are, Jason Acres on. Jason, we got the draft coming up, brother. How you doing, man?
Hey, I'm doing great. I'd be doing a lot better if I didn't have to look at that damn sweatshirt you had on, that pullover.
Well,
I
now
mean,
you sound
why?
like Elvis McClain because he gave me shit for the 49er one a couple of weeks ago. But hey,
We don't even have baseball right now.
no,
So why are you wearing it?
no, I talked about that earlier with Bill Harp's son Ty, and he actually had some good stuff to talk about. But hey, we've got the draft coming up, and noticed, just to let everybody know that next week on Friday, for me, Thursday for you guys, we're going to actually go live and cover the first round, and Jay's going to be on there. Robert Elvis McClain's coming on. Bill Hart might get off work. I don't know yet. Brian Maxwell said he would come on. So
Wow.
he said I'm off at 6:30. I'll be ready to roll. So, and if you got a Skype account, send me a text message. Let me know, and I'll bring you up on here. I like to get as many people as I can for the KashCast. In this case, we're going to go live coming up here on Thursday night for the first round of the NFL draft. Speaking of draft, Jay, you cover football a lot. You really hit college football, and he's the prof. And if you don't know about it yet, read his little blip on Facebook. And if I actually have a page for this, I might put it on there too. Let me throw something at you here. There's of course the draft is going to be a crapshoot no matter what. But let me tell you something. You get in the past when it comes to drafting a quarterback, you get guys like Tom Brady who was drafted in the 6th round. You get Joe Montana who was drafted 82nd with the 82nd pick in the 3rd round. And if you want to go recent, even though he catches a lot of grief, the guy can produce, and that's Dak Prescott, and he was taken in the 4th round. You're the Cincinnati Bengals. You're an SEC guy. You've seen plenty of Joe Burrow. Do you risk it if you're the Bengals to take Joe Burrow?
Well, I like your example talking about the guys that we know that got drafted late. Brady, Montana, some of those other guys. But contrast that with who picked a quarterback as #1 overall. Where are those stories at? Who are those people that have been successful there? Probably most recently is Andrew Luck. I mean, was he a #1 overall? Can't remember, but
I think he was.
he's
Yeah,
really
I think he was. He was #1 overall. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think he's really only guy that stands out to me.
That's when Peyton seen the
at least
writing
of
on the
late.
wall. Well, we suck.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Well, that's it, right.
So you look at Cincinnati, and we're not talking about getting a quarterback to make them a championship level team. They got holes to fill across the board. They're ranked 30th on both sides, 31st overall, I think, in all categories. The only thing they did worth of shit was special teams.
They had plenty of practice for special teams. Let me tell you that.
So,
but you're right about their defense. Their defense was just, god awful. They couldn't get to the quarterback.
Yeah.
They couldn't stop anything. You've got Chase Young down there. He's projected to go 2nd or 3rd. Actually, he's projected to go 2nd.
Yeah, 2nd of the Skins. Yeah,
he's a local guy. Do you?
Absolutely, and I don't know. I if you talk about Burrow specifically, and I said this a lot, and I think he had a magical year. But you look at what he does really well, and he managed a great offense really well. But you also look at times, and you look at you break down some film of him when you have 9 seconds to throw the ball. it's really hard not to find somebody open.
Yeah,
and some of that's him, some of that scheme, some of that's offensive line. So so all things came together.
I saw that on December 29th at 6:00 in the morning here with a hangover. It wasn't pretty, man. It was not pretty.
Right.
I was like, you know what, just go back to sleep. Fuck this, man. All right, but you've got Chase Young there, and you also got Derek Brown from Auburn. He's a big guy in the middle, man, and he can also slide over and play defensive end if he has to. Why not draft?
Right.
The Dolphins have 3 in the first round, 2 in the second round. They have wiggle room, and they can get the Dolphins could get a guy like Burrows if they make a good offer to the Bengals. Do you take it?
I don't know. It would be hard pressed. I mean, so you look at them, and they had, they appeared to be a better team on paper last year than Cincinnati. So they may be closer than we give them credit for. The coach has been there a little bit longer. He has his thing and his system in play, and he's a disciple of Belichick and those kind of things. So you kind of expect them to load up. Now, if he does what Hoodie would do, he's not trading those picks to pick Burrow. If anything, he trades down and gets more picks if he follows Belichick.
Well,
right?
that would be the Bill Walsh thing. Bill Walsh did that in 1986. He just kept trading down, and I think it was Eddie DeBartolo told him, "Hey, is it your goal to get every pick in the 7th round?" And Bill Walsh jokingly said, "I can make that work."
Right.
But those are a couple of names. Those are a couple that would really. You can get a big defensive lineman on there, or you can get somebody to get to the quarterback. And Chase Young can get to the quarterback. I don't know, man.
Right,
That's a tough one to pass up.
And then you look at your potential later, right? So I was trying to look real quick to see where Cincinnati was on their second pick. Right now, and if they had wiggle room, so
I just checked it. They're still picking. They're still picking at the top of the second. I don't think the Bengals are really, unlike the Dolphins, who just traded all their veterans and decent players last year for picks, and now they're 5-0, and especially when you knock off the Patriots when it was a must-win for the Patriots last December. Now you're looking at them like in New England, out of all places. So you're like, holy,
exactly.
All right.
Well, so I think looking at it from where they picked their second round, they have to address the quarterback, right? I mean, they're going to need to do that at some point, whether it's this draft or something else. So if you trade out of this, do you get 2 number ones for this, and you keep your third, you keep your top of the second round? Something like that happens. You're probably looking at the Jordan Love kid, maybe Tony Eason or the Jacob Eason kid, that's still sitting out there that may not, they may reach for that a little bit to get him in the second round, but maybe a guy for the future. So,
well,
but I think peer pressure and everything else that goes with that, it has them picking Burrow. I think they're locked in. I don't think they change.
I want to say it's Justin Hebert out of Oregon.
Yeah,
he might. They like him, but of course the one who's going to get the attention is Tua.
Yeah, so, and I've said this. My allegiance, of course. And
I wouldn't know. I mean, Baker, Kyler Murray.
No.
I don't know what to tell you, Jalen.
Right. Yeah.
Actually, he's another name though. That's another name. He could be a 4th round still.
He's sneaky. Absolutely. But Tua, look, the thing about Tua is he's fragile. That's the word. He's fragile, right? He's gonna get hurt. He's proven it. Without question. So he hasn't really played a full season in college. And so the things that you look at from a draft perspective, quarterback that can play at the next level, the experts, more experts than us, me, you, whatever, look at this guy and say he's got everything. He has all the reads. He has all the mental capacity, even though he has scored a 13 on his Wonderlic test. That's just something about him. But
no football smarts is what you're saying. Didn't Jameis get like a 2? Okay, never mind. I'm kidding. Yeah. He's available, by the way. Available. So that's something to look at right there.
Yeah.
But something, if you draft Tua, you're going to have to sit him for a year. and not throw him out there to the Lions because dude, he's gonna get if he went to, let's say he goes to Miami. Miami would be good for Tua because they can sit him for a year and say, okay, learn from Fitzmagic here. That fucking guy, I don't know how he does it. He has his good 4 games, gets paid. but he would be great for Tagovailoa. All right, he would be perfect for Tua. Maybe that's why. But then again, if the Bengals, they'll say for some reason they trade up and say, okay, Miami, give us this. Especially if they went the Houston Texans route and said, hey, we'll give you pure crap if you give us this first pick. Okay, hey.
Right. Yeah, sure.
All right, but seriously, if for some reason, Burrows lands in Miami for some kind of trade, then boy, they may be set. That might work out for them.
Yeah. Well, you got to believe that if they're going to look at a trade, they're looking at doing the Burrow thing. You know what I mean? You got to believe that they're going to go to number 1. That's who they're looking after. Miami. Like there's, I think you make a point about Chase Young, and he's a generational guy. Don't get me wrong. I say that's probably a little loose. They've had 3 defensive ends come out of Ohio State in the past 5 years.
So anybody besides the name of Bosa, that's Young.
Yeah, I know. So it's Bosa's and Young, and we like to consider them generational.
Yeah.
And maybe we use that word too loosely. But when you look at what the Bosa's do on the next level, it's not. I mean, it's not loose. They're generational guys.
Their D-line coach, John Cook, who I hope is watching this. He said his name, and I read it. I forget his name, but they asked the D-line coach. They said, "Man, you had Joey Bosa, then his brother Nick, and Chase Young. I mean, who's the best out of all 3?" And they thought he was going to say Chase Young. He says, "Oh no, it's Nick Bosa. Nick Bosa by far." And it pretty much, but still, that's one thing they can do in Ohio State besides cheat.
Yeah, and no doubt about that.
That was a shot.
Does Cincinnati make that move? At number 1, I don't think so. But the point I'm making is Miami. We believe Miami's looking at a quarterback. Miami's telling the world that, hey, we're looking at Tua. We always have games during the draft too. Are they saying that to posture themselves into a draft situation, that kind of thing? But I think I know Bill has said this. Bill Harp has said this several times. Any team that drafts Tua before the 3rd round made a mistake. And I know Miami has 96 picks.
14. They have 14 fucking picks, man. God.
I know. But they could burn one, but they should, in my opinion, they should burn.
But you get some value in those mid-round picks. I mean, as a 49er fan, I can tell you they grabbed George Kittle in the 5th. And he was their best pick. That whole draft, he was it. He was there flat out. And then you can – and I know they've got a couple of running backs, but you know something? Running backs, you can grab it. You can grab undrafted free agents at running back.
No debate. No doubt about it. They're out there.
So speed – you can't coach speed.
Because their shelf life's so small now. It's so short in the NFL. You're not going to put a lot of value in it. Where
Gurley.
You go,
Todd Gurley is a good example right now.
Perfect example. Right.
You got a sleeper in the draft? Who do you think is going to be – who's your sleeper?
I actually have 3 that I've been thinking about for quite a bit. You mentioned Brady, and you mentioned Montana and those kind of things. One of the guys he scored pretty high in the Whit Wonderlic, and I know that's just an anomaly kind of thing. It's a data point, but it does ring true. Like you said, James Winston scored a 3. Vince Young scored a 2. Michael Vick was at 4 or 5. So some of that thing actually plays out. To be real. Nate Stanley out of Iowa. He has Tom Brady's everything. He looks like him. He's built like him. He's slow as shit. And he does it. From the reality is.
He's slow as shit. See Brady.
But he's sitting out there. He's a 4-year guy. Played 3 full years in college. Didn't play in a spread offense. They play a pro offense. So he's got a lot of those things built in already. I'm not saying somebody goes and gets him in the first, second round, but I think you can answer a need, and the guy may be able to plug and play. So that's one. Jared Kinlaw, defensive tackle from South Carolina. When I watch more SEC football than anything else, just because of the location, if nothing else. But I Derek Brown. The only problem that he has is he takes plays off. So when he's on and his switch is on, look out, lights out. He's coming. He's going to be backfield every time. So that's another guy I think could make some noise as a sleeper. And then I said it probably November timeframe. Zach Moss out of Utah. He holds their record for rushing yards. And so again, you're not drafting that guy in the first round. But
no, I think he's Zach Moss is like 5'9", but he's like 210 pounds. So he's kind of like, from what I saw, he kind of looked like Emmitt Smith. He just waited, hit the hole, and then he turned on the jets. Right. And that's in the two games I saw him play.
Right.
A couple of names.
Nothing dynamic about him. He's not going to outrun him.
No, a couple of names I saw, and again, I got this from Brian Maxwell, and Brian knows. I will say this: Brian knows his shit, man. He said there's a couple of guys down in Louisiana Tech. He says look out for, and that was Mick Robinson and Jalarius Sneed. He's convinced they're going to go mid to late rounds. He goes, somebody's going to take a chance on him. Me personally, I like Brian Edwards out of South Carolina. He's 6'3". You can get wide receivers in the mid round. Bill Walsh said that you can get a good wide receiver in the mid round. He's got a good size. He's pretty big, 212 pounds, 6'3". And even though I'm telling you, some team is going to grab Jalen Hurts in the 4th or 5th round because he's hard to bring down, man.
And the best thing that happened for Jalen Hurts, and most of the guys that are on Sports Talk a lot know that I absolutely love the guy. I mean, I have much respect for him.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, after 1 year having him in Oklahoma, I see why. He's a good dude, man. Really good, really solid, good leader, man. He's a really good leader.
Absolutely. And he needs to, when he gets drafted, he needs to write a check immediately and send it to Lamar Jackson. Right.
All right. So those are my sleeper. Those are my two. All right. Even though Jalen Hurts is known out there, somebody's going to grab him in the 4th or 5th round and say, "Hey, this might be our Dak. This might be Dak Prescott right here. He's got the size. He's hard to bring down. I'll tell you that."
Oh yeah, he's strong as hell. I mean, look at him in the weight room.
Last thing, college football. I know it's your baby. Are we having it?
Yeah.
Do you think
we're gonna have it? The one thing I'll tell you, and we talk about COVID-19 and the impacts. Obviously, we send our thoughts and prayers out to people that are dealing with it, and the loss of life. That don't want to diminish that, but if America as a country is okay and accepts the fact we won't have football, we're near the end. I'm just being honest, right? I mean, if NFL and college and the people that make money off of that aren't going to make money, I just don't see it happening. I'm telling you, we're having football. Now, how do we have it? When do we have it? Do we do a condensed season? Do we do,
play a
lot of different
empty stadiums? Do you play in empty stadiums?
No. Not in college. I mean,
I'm hiding my face on purpose, man. You just don't do that. You don't do that. You just don't do that, man.
I hear you, but I'm just telling you.
Actually,
you don't have college football without it.
You posted something yesterday, and I actually talked about it earlier today about the 3 circles that are intersecting. Hey, this is me.
Yeah.
I went on a rant on it earlier. You probably heard it, but I get how serious it is. I do. But God, living caged up like this for less than 3%, I'll take my chances, man.
I hear you.
I hate this. Look, if you're high risk, then fucking stay inside, man. Right. And before anybody says anything, I'm not in my mid-50s yet. I've got 7 days till I hit 54. I'm not mid-50s yet, but still. You know what? I'll take my fucking chances, man. It's that simple.
Right.
Oh, see,
and I
that's why my back
and I
hurts.
think we're going to get there. But
I hope we do, man. You know much about baseball, man.
A couple of things that we talked about. It's Nick Saban and Dabo Sweeney and everybody else right now, right? As far as coaches and voices, right?
Well, I'll have you know. I'll have you know that Oklahoma is good for a fucking Final Four appearance.
Well, that's right. That's fair. And then, getting their ass beat. They'll be there.
God, yeah. I mean, I was looking back. I was looking back at my tweets, or looking back at my Facebook posts, and I said, "We're in," and then that's about it.
Well, the one thing, the one idea that I saw that has been talked about, they've had two different types of forums already, where they had coaches together to have discussions about what to do, going forward for this season. They talked about, only playing conference games, so you reduce down to 8 or 9 games, whatever.
That'd be 9.
And then they talked about pushing the season back and having a true spring training and then into the season where you would start 1 July. And I can go ahead and tell you that's dead on arrival.
Yeah, that ain't. Yeah, I don't even know why they would bring that up, man.
And there's nobody in where I live that's going to play in July.
No,
it's just not going to happen because they'll be
not out south. I had I thought about this, and this is the plan that I would have. If it got down to it, you start at 1 October. Okay, you play until the second week of December. Second week of December, don't even have your conference games. Don't have your conference championship games. Right. I mean, don't have those. You win the season. That's it. All right. And then even though they would have to redo the bowl series too. You might have to add a couple more weeks, but you would get your 10 at least 10 to 12 weeks, no breaks. You have a full season, and no one would feel like they were cheated.
Right.
I mean that's because they're going to be chomping at the bit come October 1 anyway. So
and I think no matter what, they're going to have the coaches are going to tell you they have to push the start back anyway because they didn't get their springtime in, right? So if they start in August like they normally would, they're going to want to add those 10, 15 days, whatever it is, from the spring, so you push the season back anyway. So, and there's we've always talked about, every team has a game they can remove from their schedule.
Yeah,
and every team has one. Some have more than one. So.
I think it's next year's when Oklahoma and Nebraska play. I think it's next year.
Yeah,
man, I've been looking for this for 12 years. It's sad is some of the younger kids don't know why I'm like, I need Nebraska on the schedule. Why not, man? They're up in the big they're in the big 1G. Hey kids, shut up, man. That's the fucking point here.
No, if you don't know what that rivalry is about, you don't really know college football.
I lived in Nebraska. My dad, out of all things, had to take a job in Nebraska. I was 6. As a Sooner fan. 20 miles outside of outside of Lincoln. That's where I live. Wow. 20 miles outside of Lincoln. Go Oklahoma. Yeah. The ass whippings I got from a bunch of corn-fed fucks back in 1971. Oh, right. Jesus. All right, enough of that. Jason, good stuff, brother. I appreciate you coming on.
Always, man.